Hey YouTube, it's the Flustered Doorknob, and I'm going to teach you guys how to record TF2 in-game without third-party recording software for either Mac or Windows. It always works as long as you guys TF2 and enable the console. Alright, let's go. Boom! When you guys do this and you create your demos, which I'll get into later, I recommend you don't do it in a window. You do it full screen, or you just make your resolution as close to 1280 by 720 as possible. And you can do that by going into your options. Going into video, and you have resolution, but I highly recommend that you do it full screen, or if you have a giant monitor, fix it so that you change the resolution and display mode so that it's easier to record and convert it to an MP4 so that it's better for YouTube. Now, what you're going to need to do first is you're going to need to enable the developer console if you haven't already. Some people have, some people don't know what I'm talking about. Now, the console is basically a command box, and I'll bring it up right here by pressing tilde below the escape key. This is the console. Now you input commands. This is what reads all the data of the game, and pretty much you need to toggle developer console. Now I put it as this button. You can always change it, but in advance when you go to keyboard, fast weapon switch, highly recommend that, but enable developer console needs to be checked for this to work. So now that the console is enabled, you're going to close out of that. What I highly recommend is that you do a test video. So create your own personal server, PL upward, doesn't matter. Start, and so now we're going in game. It's going to load up a server. You can do this on any server. It doesn't matter whether it supports replays or not, because it's all about the console, and there's no server that disables console. Alright, so that took actually a while, but I'm going to cut up to here. So we're in your own personal server, doesn't matter what team you go on. This is just a test video to see if it works. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of lag because I'm using QuickTime Player to record the screen and not actually using the console. The console, you don't get as much lag as this. This is like over the top lag. But all you need to know is that when you're in game, you need to know a couple commands. Record records a demo file. Now a demo file can be read in the demo UI, which I'll get into later. But pretty much what we're going to do is you do the command in the console, record space name of file. So I'm going to record test. So this file is called test, and I'll press record and say recording test.dem on the console. So that's how you know it's working. So now what I want to do is, I want to maybe jump around. So to stop the demo, you press stop. Stop demo is for the demo UI. That's when you're playing back a demo. That's not actually to stop recording. To stop recording our test demo, we press stop, and it'll say completed demo recording time 49 seconds and 542 game frames. So that's how you know that you've stopped recording. Now, you have a demo file. What that means is that it just compiles all the commands and movements of all the characters in the given server, and so when you use the demo UI, it can repeat that and spit it out and create another game replicating what you recorded. So if I were to play this in my server, thank God this is done because this is really laggy. So now that we've recorded, pressed, now if you're on a Mac, when you use F2 or F1 through F12, they're already hotkeys for something. Like F12 is volume up. Like if I did that, that's volume up. But when you hold Fn, which is below the left shift key, Fn and an F button, you can now use the function of that F button. So what you need to do is do Shift and F2 on a Windows, and if you're on a Mac, hold Fn and Shift and then press F2. Now that's the demo playback UI. UI stands for user interface. And so, in order to see our demo, you click load. The demo files are all here. These are the playback files. Now, test was really short. It's only 719 kilobytes. The bigger your file, the demo files are not really heavy-duty files. When you hear about people who say, oh, my YouTube video took up 300 gigabytes and now my computer crashed, that's actually an exaggeration. Demo files don't take a lot. It's .mov, .avi, and .mp4 that take up a bunch of space. And now in order to create those using the demo files, you have to use some more commands in the console. So you're not done yet. You can't just use the demo file. So click open on the test, and now it'll load up. I'll see you guys when it loads up. Oh, here it goes. Never mind. So yeah, this, as you can see, is playing back, according to here, our demo file. So whatever I did in the demo, it'll now do. See? Now, normally it's nice to go through it once or twice. All right, pause. It's nice to go. You can change the speed, by the way. It's nice to go through it once or twice to get rid of any lag that it might have in the playback, because the movie is based on the playback and when you convert the file. Now, I'm not going to actually do that because it would probably crash my computer to record and then also technically record. But I'm just going to tell you guys the commands. So in the console, well, here's how you set it up. I can't just tell you the commands. So what you want to do is go to, now this goes to a specific frame. So this is a tick, that's a frame. Or is it? I don't know. But ticks are how you use the goto function. Goto pretty much goes to a certain frame or tick in the video. So if I go to 0, that'll potentially go to the beginning of the video. Yeah, see, I'm on tick 0. Now I'm on tick 6. That's interesting. Now I press resume. It's nice to start your demo files. Don't start your demo files right on the action. It's nice to give 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after to make sure that you can pause and unpause right when it's time. Because what you do is you don't want to have this demo UI playback in your actual movie. So what I normally do is when I create the file, I cut the parts when the console and the demo playback is out, so as to not create a distraction in the video, because I don't like it when I see this in videos, and neither should you guys. So you should try to make it so that you don't record with this on it, and you can hide it. You can toggle whether it's up on or not by doing the Shift F2 or Shift FN F2. And so, see here. Alright, so what you're going to want to do is, in order to actually create the movie file, which you can then edit in iMovie or Sony Vegas or whatever Windows Movie Maker, in order to use this gameplay, you convert it to an MP4, MOV, and or AVI file. So what I'm about to do is I think it's either start movie or record movie. I think it's start movie, yeah. So when you do start movie, when you do a command and you don't actually do, like if you did record demo, because remember when you do record you do space the file name. If you just did the record and you press enter, it'll tell you what the command does. So when you press start movie, it'll tell you what the command does. So start movie file name, and so it defaults to making TGA files with the .wav file. So it creates a separate audio file for the .wav, and TGAs, like it'll make thousands of TGAs for each frame you have. That'll actually take up a bunch of space if you actually do that. What I do is that if you do H.264 encoded with the audio and video, it'll create a QuickTime file, .mp4 I believe, and so you can mess around with this, but I personally do start movie file name space H.264. So I would do start movie test H.264. That's exactly what I would put into the console, but I'm not going to, because that would crash my computer while I'm recording. So I'm just gonna act as if I started it, and when you press enter it'll say like starting to record movie. Now in order to do that, you would have to do end movie. You don't do stop. Stop is how you stop recording demo files, but in order to stop creating the movie file, you have to do end movie, and don't worry when you're playing back. So this is how it works. When you start the start movie and you play back, you would get out of the console after you did start movie H.264. You'd press resume, and then you'd get it away, and so you'd watch it. But when you're creating a movie, it goes in slow motion, and don't be scared if you don't hear any of the audio or it's like looping. It's supposed to do that. Whenever I record and I create movies, I never hear the audio while it's recording, and it'll go like 50 times slower than the actual gameplay. You'll be there for a while. So if you created like a 10-minute gameplay, it might take 30 minutes for you to get through it. It'll really. That's why I can't record while giving an example, but I can just tell you the commands. So what I do normally is that after I create this, you'll find it in your directory, application support, Steam, Steam apps, common, Team Fortress 2, TF, and there would be an example of where your file would be. That's test.dem, that's the file we created earlier, and that would be where your MP4 file would be if you created an H.264 movie. So that is where your file would be, and then you just drag it into your movie editing software. If you wanted to add commentary, or if you wanted to add an intro, you'd have to put it into like Windows Movie Maker, or iMovie. I use iMovie, but you could always use Final Cut Pro, but who has the money or time for that? So that about wraps it up. If you guys have any questions, put it in the comments, please. If you liked it, subscribe for more. I do gameplays. I might do more tutorials on how I made my intro, because I personally like it. I really like it. Maybe how to use iMovie to create this actual video if you're using Mac. I don't know about Windows, sorry. See you guys. Thanks. Subscribe. Awesome. Goodbye. Intro, outro, go, outro, outro, go, boom, boom, yeah.